Hi there again guys, and welcome back to my channel A Little More Than 8-Bit. So today you'll see that I'm in a different sort of room, and there are a few reasons for that, but this isn't permanent. I will be back in the other setting again, but I will fix the light levels so that there's not so much glare in the background as there was last time. So today I'm going to go through 4 upcoming games and my reactions to what's released at the minute about trailers, gameplay footage, all of that kind of stuff. So the games that I'm going to go through are Assassin's Creed Unity, which is coming out soon for the next generation. I say soon, it'll be end of this year. Far Cry 4, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Uncharted 4. So all of these things have some form of content released already, and basically I'm just going to be reacting to how I feel about those that's been released. I will say I love all of these games so far. I love what I've seen about them and I love their predecessors, so hopefully these upcoming ones are going to be great. So to start it off, obviously I'm going to start off with Assassin's Creed. So a yearly instalment started after this. I like looking at the original games when these kind of things are announced, so I've recently gone back to the original Assassin's Creed game and it's still excellent. But this new game looks absolutely brilliant. They've overhauled a lot of things and the graphics excellent, the gameplay looks excellent. There's not been that much released as of yet, but the E3 demos and all the stuff that came out at that point all makes the game look really, really cool. Controlled Descent, instead of using just hay bales from rooftops, Controlled Descent looks amazing. Makes the city look so much more traversable. And speaking of the city, Paris looks amazing in this game, and traversing over those rooftops is something I really can't wait to do. I like the style it's been set out in, and from what I've seen, from the trailer and the gameplay footage, it all looks like it's going to be really, really excellent. So that's pretty much it for that game at the minute. I will link the gameplay and the trailer below from what I've seen, and I'll let you comment, make your own thoughts about this. Hopefully you all like the look of it. There's been so many versions of Assassin's Creed up to now. I can basically say I've played all of them at some point. I've played the portable ones, I've played a couple of the iOS ones, I've played all of the full games, and I have a lot of the add-on content kind of things. So as you can see, I have the original game, 2, Assassin's Creed 2. Now that was an excellent game. Everyone seems to adore the second generation of games that are released for some reason. Take one that I'm going to talk about later, Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 was top of the list of Sony PlayStation 3's, the PlayStation Magazine's list of games that you should own for the PlayStation 3. It was rated about 9 out of 10. Even, I think it might have been a bit higher than that, it might have been about 9.5. Everyone seems to appreciate the third one slightly less. The third one for me in Assassin's Creed was Brotherhood. Now I played and I liked Brotherhood, but everyone else seemed to hate it. It carried on in Revelations, I played it, I liked it. Everyone else seemed to carry on umming and ahhing about how they didn't like it as much as Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed 3, I absolutely adored. I would show you what I've got, but I decided it's not worth looking around every copy of these games, every predecessor that I own. So I do have the Assassin's Creed 3 Join or Die edition, which for me is an excellent, excellent package. I absolutely adore it. But that's something that's rather large and I don't really need to be lugging around. So there's going to be a terrible jump cut there. My editing skills are going to get better. I'm going to have to apologise for them now. Please just don't judge me for my editing skills at the minute. So just bear with me on that. It's something new that I'm not quite used to yet. So the second game that I'm going to go through, going down in alphabetical order, is I'm going to talk about Far Cry 4. So I played Far Cry 2, but the only game I have left And I'm sorry to say I haven't played the original Far Cry, even the anniversary edition that's been released. I only own this one now. Now, Far Cry 3 I still love. It's an amazing game. I know this sounds a lot like what I said about Assassin's Creed, but now I'm comparing Far Cry 3 to Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 was so tedious for me. It was dark, it was slow, cars broke for no reason, the map and everything just felt sluggish. Everything that Far Cry 3 isn't. Far Cry 3 was fast. It was fast paced, it was easy to get around in, you weren't just stuck to the ground. All that I loved. The hunting, excellent. The weaponry, excellent. The story, amazing. And this looks like it's only going to get better in Far Cry 4. So that's one thing that is really enticing for this. It does look slightly sillier from what we saw at E3. Stuff with auto gyros and stuff like that, and elephants. But the graphics looked amazing, it looked fast paced, it looked like you were able to move around so much more freely. All that kind of stuff ticks all the boxes for this. So the gameplay footage, which again I'll link below, just looks so good. The graphics, it kind of feels wrong to compare graphics on a last gen console game to a now current gen console game. But the graphics look so much more clear, crystal clear, immaculate, all that kind of stuff. It all looks great in Far Cry 4. Not saying that Far Cry 3 is bad, and if you haven't played it, just go out and buy a copy. Far Cry 3 is just something you will not regret playing. There are some things that you may disagree with, some themes that you may disagree with in the game, but the characters they seem more real. They seem less sugar-coated and more real in Far Cry 3 than games that you may have played. It's just a really good game with really good systems of like leveling up and choosing how you want to play as your character. It's not completely linear, there are some side activities, but it's not so free that you don't feel compelled to play the full campaign. But that's about it, again, for Far Cry 3. Now moving on to Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, Kingdom Hearts is an obsession of mine, and it has been for so many years since I got the original PS2 game. So, recently I bought this. I feel kind of bad showing this instead of the original PS2 game, but this just seems more recent, and more people I guess will have played this. So, 1.5 HD Remix is just the original game, and it's got some added stuff. So it's got, what was it added to it? Chain of Memories. So that's the one I think was out on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, the Game Boy Advance one's on there, and Kingdom Hearts 358/2 days, which was the DS one, I think. Yeah, the DS one, and that's just in the cinematics. So all that's completely great for it. But what I will link below is the only gameplay footage I've managed to find of Kingdom Hearts 3, and it looks perfect. It looks like a Kingdom Hearts game, which is what everybody who's played Kingdom Hearts will want. Because if you play Kingdom Hearts and you like Disney, even to only a small extent, I guarantee you will fall in love with this game. Just because you don't have to understand the characters, because your main character, Sora, because he's part of that universe, he doesn't understand the characters, he's not seen them in movies. You just learn who the characters are from how they act and how they're portrayed, which everybody is portrayed so well in the Kingdom Hearts series. All of the games I would recommend, all of them. One that I liked that's maybe more controversial was Birth by Sleep. Really enjoyed that on the PSP. When 2.5 HD Remix is released, that'll have Birth by Sleep on it again, which is a really fun game to play. The characters are different from Sora and Roxas, who you'll have played as before, and it's just refreshing to have more choice in that game. And that's really about it with Kingdom Hearts. The graphics look rounded, they look smooth, they don't look as blocky as they used to, which is good because it's Square Enix. Square Enix have evolved like that, and it shows that they're not lagging in any way. Everything they're putting forward is their new stuff. They're not just going to lag behind in one specific game, because things like Final Fantasy, you see how they've progressed since the PS2 versions, and it's great to see that Kingdom Hearts will be exactly like that. It's something that I really look forward to. Game soundtrack wise, the opening song to Kingdom Hearts 1, Simple and Clean, and Kingdom Hearts 2, My Sanctuary, are some of my favourite songs from video games ever. And it's just annoying that you can never find these as audio files, so even on iTunes, things like that, you can never find them. But if you have the game, listening to the game and just loading that up again and again isn't too difficult. I understand if a lot of you go into pre-owned game shops and buy the PS2 copy, that's not going to be usable for so many people. If you have the old PS3 like I do, I can still play my original games. I can still play those, but I still bought this because I wanted to see how they updated it. This isn't too expensive. This pre-owned cost me £18, I think it was, which to me isn't expensive for something I enjoyed for such a large amount of my childhood. So that got a bit deep there, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3. I hope all of you guys are too. It's something that we've really needed for so many years, and I'm just glad they're releasing it on the new generation, and I'm really hoping that Square Enix and Disney really sink their teeth into this. So, the final game, and you'll remember it from earlier, I kept it for the end, it's Uncharted. Uncharted 4, coming out soon. They haven't really given a proper release date yet, but that doesn't matter, because it looks so good. I'm going to go over the original games first in this part. So, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, amazing. Completely and utterly amazing. Really broke the PS3 into its own category. So, as an exclusive, never been available on Xbox. Never. It is such a brilliant franchise. If you don't know who created it, it's Naughty Dog, so the same people that made The Last of Us, and if you think way back, the same people that created Crash Bandicoot, which, if you've not played games since Crash Bandicoot, which worries me slightly, even though people like me, I have the original Crash Bandicoot on my PS Vita as a PS1 classic download. So that's still an amazing thing, and it just shows how Naughty Dog have progressed. So, Uncharted 2, much like I said about Assassin's Creed 2, everybody seemed to appreciate Uncharted 2 amazingly. But for this one, it didn't cause any disappointment for Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's one of the best things I've ever played on the PlayStation 3. No doubt. It's one of the best games. And at the time I felt it must really push that system, because it's something that I think I'd let slip past on the PS4. I would still play it. I know the graphics wouldn't be up to scratch, but that's just me. I would still play the original Uncharted 3. They wouldn't have to update it, nothing like that. That's how amazing it was. The storylines have always been great, and even down to the little tiny bitty things like the titles of these games. The titles have always been just, they've never sounded cheesy. So the original game was Drake's Fortune, which it was searching for Drake's fortune. Yeah, so Francis Drake looking for what he left behind, which I'm not going to spoil the story for anybody that's seen the trailer for Uncharted 4 and wants to play all 3 games. But that's just a great title for a great game. Second one, Among Thieves. That title confused me a lot to begin with, but it makes sense. I mean, your character is a treasure hunter, you can be considered a thief yourself, all that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. So a lot of that links back because your character is called Nathan Drake. So a lot of that just carries on linking around and bringing you back to Sir Francis. But for that game, it was a perfect title. It'll be confusing the first time you play it, especially if you jump in without playing the original 2 before that. But again, as I say, I would play that game again any day. Now, Uncharted 4 coming out, A Thief's End. So bringing back to the fact that you can be considered a thief as your character because you're in search of your fortune from something left behind from somebody else. And I will link the trailer below, but anybody who's played the games, you will get goosebumps watching this. All you see is Nate getting up from a riverbed, checking his gun and walking off. This is all played out slowly, but that's all you see so far. But in the background you'll hear him talking to Sullivan, one of my favourite characters in video game history. He is an amazing character because he's got the standard American attitude that you would expect from anything. He goes around with a revolver, and he's just this old guy with a really tough attitude. But it's this really almost moving trailer about how Nate's been out of the game for so many years, and how he has no choice to go back now, and how he's just asking Sully for help for one last time. And this is just something that really just builds up such suspense for this game. One big thing about the trailer is it's apparently captured straight from a PS4, so I'm guessing it's a cinematic from it, but still an amazing looking cinematic for it. It's going to be an amazing game. If you've not got, I know of people who have got, say, a PS Vita and not got any PlayStation products other than that. So if that's like you, go out and buy, if you haven't already, Golden Abyss, Uncharted Golden Abyss. It will show you who these characters are, and it will make you realise your mistake in buying Xbox products or not buying PlayStation at all, because these characters are just so great that you just want to know all of these stories. Golden Abyss, even if you don't feel like I just said you would, you will enjoy Golden Abyss as a game. It doesn't look great now compared to some of the Vita things, but let's not forget, the Vita started off with this game basically. It was the first game I went out and bought for my Vita, and it's still amazing. I've played it over and over again, unlocking, crushing difficulty, all that kind of thing. It's still a great game. And there's really nothing much more to say about that. So, I'm basically going to have to call the video to a halt now. I really hope the editing's slightly better for this. I really hope the lighting's slightly better for this. I've got a proper tripod set up. I've got everything set up. I know the sound might sound tinny because my camera's not the greatest for video, but I've really tried my best with this one. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and there's nothing really left but to say goodbye. Say goodbye to Totoro, the amazing Totoro, and hopefully I'll see you guys.